Well, this is a ridiculous situation. So a couple of months ago, the California Air Resources Board issued a proposed rule called the In-Use Locomotive Rule that would ban non-electric locomotives from entering the state of California. To give you an idea how ridiculous this is, there's no such thing right now as an electric freight locomotive. They're all diesel because it's not technically possible to do with a zero emissions locomotive what a diesel locomotive can do. You just can't do it. The battery technology is not there. You can do it in the yard, but you'd get a couple miles and then you'd run out of energy. You just can't package that much energy in there. So the technology doesn't exist, but that doesn't deter CARB from passing this rule. So the reason why this is important, not just to California in general, but particularly to my district, is that BNSF Railways, which is one of the big railway operators in the United States, is putting a new $1.5 billion, that's billion with a B, intermodal transfer facility in the city of Barstow. And if you've been to Barstow, you know that city desperately needs that economic development. Yeah. It's going to result in about 20,000 new jobs in my district in the high desert. And the BNSF has quite reasonably said to CARB, hey, look, if you are not going to let us bring our locomotives into your state, we can't put this yard there. And so, I mean, they'll go put it in Arizona if this effort goes through. So fortunately, for us, CARB needs a waiver from the EPA to be able to do this because the EPA has preempted regulation of locomotive emissions away from the individual states. And so I've been leading an effort to deny CARB the waiver that they need to implement this rule. And as you mentioned, we sent a letter signed by 73 members of Congress to the EPA urging them to deny the waiver last week. And that's a big deal because when you get more than 50 members of Congress on a letter, it's something, an idea that has traction. And then we had a hearing just a couple of days ago with the administrator of the EPA, Administrator Regan, in a subcommittee that I waved onto, and I asked him questions about this, and I delivered him almost 2,000 letters that constituents had sent me opposing this rule. So I mean, it's just another ridiculous intervention of government. I mean, think about how on earth are we going to run a national rail system if we're going to let 50 different state regulations exist on what locomotives can enter their states and which can't. I mean, it's just crazy.
Well,
let me finish with the most nonsensical thing about this. If you're an environmentalist and you say, well, yeah, but we got to get rid of those locomotive emissions, think about this. This intermodal facility that BNSF is building, the reason they're doing it is to allow the transport of freight from the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach to by rail instead of by truck. So this would take millions of truck hours off the road, and rail is like 10 times fewer carbon emissions than trucks for transporting freight. It's ridiculous.